2018 Porsche 911 GT3. Real genius. The true genius of Porsche's new GT3, the second coming of the model on the 991 platform, is that even a master will never fully exploit it. That's the trait that defines the GT3, not just among Porsches but among the world's best drivers' cars. As a result, it engenders fascination like almost nothing else. No matter how hard it's pushed, there's still magic to be discovered in its responses, beauty in its feedback, joy in its abilities. This is a machine wedded on the mill of necessity and unencumbered by frippery. It is noise and feel and heat and speed wrapped into a physically absurd package then distilled beyond what its design merits. The cumulative case it makes is this: when a driver unloads aggression into its controls, it doesn't balk. It doesn't plead for mechanical mercy. From its perspective, driving with purpose differs not at all from driving for pleasure. When much is asked of the GT3, it simply goes faster. It goes faster and then, like a bitterly defiant teenager, it doubles down, betting that what it can endure exceeds what you can supply. That is a profoundly fantastic thing for a sports car to do. All I ask is a 911 and a stonking flat 6 to power her by. A big part of the latest GT3's magic is conjured by its engine, a wicked, ripping salute to all that is right with flat 6s and natural aspiration. A new version of the 4.0-liter 6-cylinder from the now-dead GT3Rs, it replaces the old GT3's 9A1 3.8-liter mill, and this 9,000 RPM stomper is wholly updated and more alive than ever. Compared with both the 9A1 and the 4.0-liter in the GT3Rs, the 9A1.5 has a new crankshaft, valve train design, lubrication system and intake manifold, and it revs 200 RPM higher. Larger main and rod bearing journals allow for a stiffer crankshaft, which reduces wear on the front main bearing, the one closest to the rear of the car, by distributing stress more evenly across all bearings. The downside is a crank with different resonance characteristics, which demands a heavier dual-mass flywheel to reduce vibration. A new valve train with finger followers that lacks any kind of hydraulic lash compensation. Porsche says it won't need adjustment in any fewer than 150,000 miles. Replaces the old engine's hydraulic lifter-equipped heads. Eliminating the higher oil pressure and volume needed to operate the hydraulic lifters, together with lower rate valve springs, improves both response and efficiency. The engine's dry sump system uses 7 scavenge pumps and a new pressure pump for lubrication. A redesigned plastic intake manifold adds a second flap to boost torque and response at low and mid-range engine speeds. At 500 horsepower and only 339 lb-ft of torque, it is, by supercar standards, a relative wimp. Until you actually step on the accelerator. Numbers are neat, experiences are better. If ever there were a case for words before numbers, this is it. There's more character lurking in this engine's final 1000 RPM than there is in the entire rev range of the turbocharged engines powering various competitors. It's unapologetic about its racing heritage and doesn't brook driving mistakes without retribution. Neither does it ride a thunderhead of torque like a turbo engine. Miss an apex, slide wide, or drop a wheel and you're not getting that time back. There's no crutch here, no papering over your errors. If you're uncomfortable above 6,000 RPM, this isn't your Porsche. Because this is an engine that won't stop pulling until your cockly eye burst into flame. This is an engine bred for Daytona, Sebring, and Le Mans, and it makes you earn everything you get. Oh, and the GT3 also is available with 3 pedals. Porsche, in a move that reverses the performance at all cost ethos introduced with the first dual clutch only 991 GT3 for 2014, throw enthusiasts a bone in version 2.0. But like the electrifying 911R before it, the 991.2 GT3 gets only 6 cogs, which saves about 7 pounds relative to the 7-speed manual found in other 911s. It also gets reinforced shift stops and a gear lever that's 0.8 inch shorter. Porsche, with a straight face, offers the stick as a no-cost option. The 7-speed PDK dual-clutch automatic, which shares the manual's ratios in its first 4 gears, is standard. Both transaxles incorporate limited slip differentials, which is electronically controlled with the PDK. A taller rear wing and new underbody panels help increase downforce to a claimed 342 pounds at top speed, 198 miles per hour for the PDK, 199 for the manual. The GT3 shares its fat-haunched body with the current Carrera 4x4s, making it 1.7 inches wider at the rear fenders than the current Carrera. It's also about an inch lower. And get this, as if to drive home this car's laser focus on performance, carbon fiber hinges for the rear decklet save 2 pounds. Friendly is as friendly does. Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires in standard 911 Carrera S sizes, 245 up front, 305 out back, were fitted to every example we drove, although Dunlop Sport Max Race 2 rubber also is homologated for the car. The steering is relatively light and supremely direct but lacks communication as understeer approaches. It speaks but sometimes only in a mumble. The result is less confidence in front grip than is offered by, say, a Corvette Grand Sport. Again, there's nuance here. Change your driving and the GT3 changes its personality. Turn in later, or slower. Transition more quickly to the brakes. Throw it into the corner harder. You'll get a new result. You adjust, it adjusts. In this Porsche, there are options for how you handle it. But no matter what you do, it won't surrender. As long as there's fuel in the tank and rubber on the road, the GT3 is faithful. Only Porsche can produce a car offering such compliance coupled with carefully metered control. Go ahead, charge fully committed through undulations, ignore small road imperfections. You'll feel them, but they don't matter. There's more compression travel than the GT3's ride height may lead you to believe. And the only thing fatiguing about the optional carbon ceramic brakes is their $9,210 asking price. Speaking of price, this GT3 will start near $146,000, about 13 grand more than the previous GT3, when it hits dealers this fall. The most stunning properties of the GT3 are its refusal to fade, its connection to the driver, and its understated purposefulness. Sure, it has a big wing, but its aesthetics largely lean on a relatively ubiquitous shape, and it's a car we'd gladly drive daily. That this particular flavor of 911 requires great care to get right is central to its allure. That trait makes it desirable because it demands that its driver be fully involved rather than merely entertained. And that, in any car, is genius.